Pues nada, ya estamos aquí, ya estamos aquí. Yo solamente quería recordaros una cosa, que por favor, es un recuerdo, una petición, que nos exprimáis todo lo que podáis, ¿vale? Que estamos aquí precisamente para eso. Y nada, sin más, quería dar paso al primer bloque, One Year After WhatsApp with Aruba, en el que digamos, lo van a llevar nuestro CTO para EMEA, que es Tobias Van Ingen, Pedro Martínez, director de Desarrollo y Negocio de Sur de Europa, y Xavi Cadena, que es el director de preventa de Iberia. Así que nada más, os dejo con ellos, disfrutad, aprended y, como os he dicho, exprimidnos todo lo que podáis, ¿vale? Muchas gracias. Tobias, todo tuyo.
Hello, thank you very much. Let me first share my screen. Here we go. So welcome everybody, and thank you very much for joining with this a lot of amount of people. And also welcome with me, as Pablo said. I hope Pablo did a nice introduction. I was not sure, I couldn't understand him, so I hope it was a nice introduction. But my name is Tobias Van Ingen. Within Aruba, I'm EMEA CTO and Senior SE Director for the Aruba business unit. With me, we have Xavi and Pedro, and we want to make this presentation a little bit fun, try to get as close as possible to a face-to-face presentation. So we have some questions that Katia explained very well in the Spark Up sections. And then we going to take it back and do some recaps in the middle and at the end. So let's dive in. What we want to do in this presentation is I want to give you a complete overview of the vision and strategy and what we have been doing over the last year. But first of all, actually, last year was one of the first trips that was actually after my winter sport vacation was scheduled, was my Porta Aventura World, was this presentation actually for this particular event. So I really, yeah, it's a shame that we couldn't meet each other face to face, but let's hope everything, at least the world is getting a little bit in a better place. So let's hope that we move fast out of this situation. But the world has changed. I think we can all say that. And I think it means something in the way we work, in the way we collaborate. And even if you look at the way cloud has been adopted over the last year, that has been truly accelerated across the globe because they saw the flexibility, they saw the scale up, scale down possibilities. And I think that really has changed a lot. And for us as Aruba and HPE in general, this is the HPE Aruba overall vision that we have. And that is edge to cloud. And we started this vision some years ago. And I think on here you can see everything on the intelligent edge is Aruba and edge compute. And that's where we, trying to do things as close as possible from the users for highly distributed environments, make sure everything can be done in an automated way, and make sure we can manage things from the cloud. But we also have a vision on hybrid cloud kind of environments. Because we do know that not everybody can go to the cloud, or you want to keep some applications or some services running on-premise for security reasons or latency reasons. So that's why we also have this hybrid cloud vision where you can consume things as a service, where you can think about multi-cloud. And with multi-cloud, I also mean, private cloud environments or virtual private cloud environments. Of course, on-premise data centers and software as a service. And this is what has been, I think, has seen for the hybrid work, but also over the last years as a great vision. And also that is end-to-end, we need to deliver secure connectivity. Attached to this particular framework, we look at the following: connect, protect, analyze, and act. And let me stand still for a couple of seconds here with the connect section, because I have a feeling that a lot of vendors in the industry trying to show that, just making an access point or making a switch can be done as commodity hardware. And I tend to disagree a little bit. I do understand the point, but I truly believe if you want to give the best performance, the best latency for all the user experience and for all the IoT devices when we're in there, we need to bring innovation inside the hardware. If we want to connect a heart monitor to the Wi-Fi network, we better make sure it has the best stable connectivity that we can deliver. And that means innovation in hardware and attached it to the software. So I think that connection layer is still very, very important. The second one is the protection layer. And the protection layer is how can we get visibility, bring on devices securely on our infrastructure, and also secure our devices, but also secure our applications and the rest of the users and devices within the infrastructure. And that's what we do in the protection layer of the framework. And then analyze and act. And this is something that we kicked off 2 years ago, where we start to say, okay, what can we do to consume telemetry data and make the management better or make the security better, for example. That's what we do in the analyze. And in the act phase, we start to use that data and try to make closed loop actions, right? If we see something on the infrastructure, can we then immediately take an action? And that framework is the key in everything we do and the key in everything we develop. And that's where we started the Aruba Edge Services architecture. And that's this one, where you can see on the underlying layer in the architecture, we have the unified infrastructure layer, which take care of that connection layer, where the access points are in, where the wired switches are in, SD-WAN devices, IoT. And on top of that, we have the zero trust security layer, which takes care of that protection layer of that framework. And in the zero trust security layer, we give you that visibility. We can make sure you can do the right authentication for the right types of devices. You can continuously monitor your infrastructure users or your infrastructure devices, but also you can enforce them based on policies as you are used to from Aruba, and you can deal with unified threat management. And then on the top layer, we have the AIOps layer. And the AIOps layer is where we take care of the analyze and act, but also make sure you can manage your infrastructure, you can orchestrate it, you can zero touch provision it, and of course you can add maybe location context to the game. And that all Aruba Central is the dashboard of everything we do, of the Edge Services platform. And regardless how you want to consume it, right? And that's why I want to touch base on this a little bit. The unified infrastructure, so that connection layer, I think we are the only vendor in the industry that can deliver you one same hardware layer that you can consume from the cloud, that you can consume as a service, or that you can consume with an on-prem management application called Central On-Prem. Most of the times what you see is that there's a hardware layer that is attached to, for example, cloud software stack, or there is a hardware layer that is attached to an on-premise software stack. And I think this is what makes Aruba really unique, that you can dictate your own journey. And we do that for remote users, home users, branches, campuses, data centers, cloud environments. The Edge Services platform is really at the heart of everything we do. But we can't do everything ourselves. And that's where we also have technology partners to either consume data, because everything we do in this infrastructure is based on APIs in the software layer and in the hardware layer. So you can consume data from it and make things smarter. And that's where some of our technology partners do that. For example, Zebra or Microsoft Azure or Checkpoint from a security. Regardless of what you want to do, we have technology partners out there, and we are lining up every month new technology partners to make our infrastructure smarter. What I want to do now is move up the chain. So I will start with the unified infrastructure, then move to security and AIOps, and go through this architecture and show you some innovation, what we have been doing. So let's start with the connect layer, the unified infrastructure, because the access points that we have been focusing on, we always have been focusing on the access point to deliver mobility. But for some time now, we are focusing on the access point to become an IoT platform. I think we all take for granted that the access point can do Wi-Fi, can give you WLAN. But we give you an access point that is able to deliver you multi-radio access networks. So we can do Wi-Fi, of course, but you can also do Bluetooth, you can do Zigbee, and we also have a USB radio for even potentially integrated legacy radios, for example, things like we do with Ocean. And this gives us the possibility to come up with solutions for healthcare, for retail, for smart buildings. This really drives the access point and making sure that you can convert your infrastructures to get your IoT devices, give you that visibility, and bring everything on the same backbone. I think that will give you a lot of advantages. And one of the things, for example, in the real world is electronic shelf labels, which you see in retail these days a lot, which normally in a retail shop, you have to do additional cabling, additional power, and additional equipment bring in your retail shop. But now you can really start using and converging all that in a true single converged infrastructure, where the access point can then talk to all the electronic shelf labels to update them. So I think there's tons of examples in hospitality with SI Abloy, with smart labeling, with N-Ocean, with energy harvesting sensors, which saves you cabling and communicate and use that to control the lightning over that converged infrastructure. So tons of examples. Look at the website, and we can go over some of the other examples. But we also have seen that we need to do some additional innovation there. And this is not yet out there. So we are running this in, let's say, white labeled or early access. But we are going to bring in IoT operations in Aruba Central. And within that IoT operations, we're going to give you visibility in what kind of devices are connected to your BLE or to your Zigbee radio. So at least that you have that visibility. But also, we will come up with an app store to make it easy to do these integrations and enable and accelerate on the digital transformation. So just a matter of a click, you can enable that particular store. So let's move on. What about Wi-Fi 6E? And Wi-Fi 6E is something that is now accepted by the EU, accepted already in a lot of countries, and it's making sure that we can unlicensed use the 6 gigahertz band. Within Europe at the moment, we can use the lower 500 megahertz, but still, this gives us massive throughput, massive additional bandwidth that we can use to drive even better experiences for the Wi-Fi. We just announced the AP645, and we are the first vendor that having an enterprise access point that is able to do 2.4, 5 gigahertz, and 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum. So this gives you a lot of, an aggregation bandwidth of 3.9 gigabits. So there is a lot of performance gain to make there. So stay tuned for some other access point throughout the rest of the year. So what are we doing from an operating system? One of the things that we have been launching is AOS 10, a single operating system. So we want to deliver a single operating system in home, branch, and campus environment, so that we don't have a separate SD branch operating system that will be fully integrated in the gateway solution within AOS 10, including the microbranch solution. So I think that is a good looking forward, but it will be, the plan is to go GA with AOS 10. So we already have more than 200 customers running AOS 10 in early access. The plan is to go GA, let's say in calendar, let's say Q4 this year. But don't worry, right? AOS 8 will run there for a definite lifetime. We still have AOS 6 running and supporting within Aruba. So AOS 8 will there for a long time. There's still a lot of roadmap on AOS 8, but AOS 10 is the next thing forward for us to drive scale for smaller environments and scale for larger environment, including a new way to do home users. So that gives us some innovation, but AOS 8 will also be there. So what are we doing with 5G? 5G, I think we see 5G more as a collaboration perspective. So if you go from outside to inside, how can you start using the Wi-Fi as your offloading engine? Because you need to use that offloading engine, right? The 5G backbones are not ready to go up with all the IoT data and to go up with all the Wi-Fi data. And Wi-Fi cannot do all the outdoor roaming for connected cars, for example. So we believe that the future will be the collaboration between the two, so that we can send meter data like we do with Passpoint, for example. So, and think about the uniqueness, what we can deliver, and the square kilometers of Wi-Fi that is out there, what we can start using. We deliver a true multi-RAN network inside every enterprise organization. So then let's quickly move to the switching. And for the switching, we introduced the Aruba CX platform. So I'm not going to stand still for that long, but we try to deliver a cloud native and not a cloud only platform. But we truly delivered now one single operating system from small edge up to the full data center with one single operating system for the switches. And the thing we did recently is we integrated CX within the Aruba Central Cloud Platform or Aruba Central On-Prem Platform. And we even tried to give you some additional innovation because we still saw that a lot of people like the CLI. So what we did is we gave you the multi-editor configuration within Aruba Central so that you can edit up to 25 switches now and maybe later even more at the same time in a very smart and intuitive way. But we also give you express config. So configuration that we think a lot of organizations need, that you can just fill in a couple of parameters and deploy in the infrastructure. With NAE built-in, but also making sure that we can start using the NAE in the distributed way to make AI ops smarter. So what are we doing from a data center? From a data center, we're doing a couple of things. We talk about centers of data, and we don't talk about data centers anymore. We believe that organizations make the choice on a couple of things. It's either data volume, it's latency concerns, or improve experience. So if you need a lot of data, you probably put compute as close as possible to where you need the data. If you need to make a decision in blue and red, if something needs to take off a production line, you probably think about the latency. You take the decision as close as possible to the edge and then aggregate the data up. So that's why we deliver you a solution that gives you the automation, the provisioning, and the possibility to integrate it in the cloud also. And we started that journey with Aruba Fabric Composer, and with the recent release of Aruba Fabric Composer and Aruba Central, you can do all the orchestration, all the visibility, and everything on-premise. And if you want to move to the cloud in a hybrid fashion, you can do that also in that particular journey. And that we will start driving that hybrid solution for you forward. But we also see that this whole edge to cloud is where we were missing something, right? We had that edge to cloud strategy, we had that secure connectivity, but we also needed to deliver something that could meet your WAN and security transformation journey. And that's where we have did the acquisition of Silver Peak, so we can add that SD-WAN exactly in the middle. And this way we can deliver the SASE journey or security journey and WAN journey at your pace, which we are calling the adaptive internet breakout. So you can decide with an edge connect on the edge, if you want to send the traffic directly to the internet, if you want to make secure connectivity within AWS or Azure or the cloud provider of your choice, or you want to send the traffic to the headquarters, and you can steer applications intelligent. You can transform your SASE security model at your own pace. And we will deliver you a consistent network policies, which I will show you in a couple of sections in the presentation. You can steer any application and not just a certain application. And this concludes our secure edge portfolio, starting with the VIA, up to the IoP micro branch, up to the SD branch solutions, which we have, which gives you some integrated SD-WAN functionality. But if you want to go pure SD-WAN with the full SASE approach, including WAN acceleration, that's where we have the Edge Connect of Silver Peak. So let me pause here for a moment and let's recap the seconds. And Savi, let's see if there's any questions for the audio from the audience or comments.
Hi, Tobias. Thank you. Very interesting presentation. Actually, we are getting several comments and questions from the audience, but let me switch to Spanish to make a brief recap about what you have explained so far. Pues, para aquellos que no me conocéis, yo soy Xavier Cadenas, soy el responsable de preventa en España y Portugal. Y lo que me gustaría hacer es un pequeño resumen y explicar un poco más en detalle lo que he explicado hasta ahora, Tobias. Para ello, me gustaría presentaros también a Pedro Martínez, nuestro director de desarrollo de negocio. Hola, Pedro.
Hola, buenos días a todos. Hola, Xavi. Hi, Tobias.
¿Qué tal, Pedro? ¿Cómo estás?
Hello.
Oye, Pedro, ¿nos podrías dar algo más de detalle sobre la estrategia de Aruba que nos ha explicado hasta ahora, Tobias?
Bueno, sí, si me permitís, yo creo que hay un punto muy importante que es nuestra plataforma Aruba ISP. Si me permitís, muy rápidamente voy a dar 4 ideas importantes. Aruba ISP es una arquitectura y su objetivo es automatizar, unificar y proteger todo lo que son las comunicaciones en el extremo. Es decir, no es como tal un producto, es decir, no lo busquéis en la lista de precios de Aruba porque no hay un part number de Aruba ISP. Y tampoco Aruba ISP es Central, es decir, Aruba Central es un componente muy importante de toda la arquitectura, pero Aruba ISP es más que eso. Y Aruba ISP básicamente tiene sobre todo 3 pilares. El primero es todo lo que tiene que ver con unificar y simplificar las comunicaciones a través de esa infraestructura unificada, es decir, en el caso de Aruba, cualquier escenario de conectividad, ya sea para un data center, un campus, una branch, es muy sencillo, se resuelve con un número muy pequeñito de building blocks, que son nuestros APs, nuestros switches y nuestros gateways, y son siempre los mismos, con independencia de cuál sea el escenario. Un segundo pilar es todo lo que tiene que ver con la seguridad. Es decir, por un lado, lógicamente, queremos securizar dentro de esa arquitectura todas las comunicaciones con cosas como Zero Trust, microsegmentación, pero también es muy importante porque esa capa de seguridad nos va a permitir independizar la topología física de la red de la topología, digamos, real a nivel de flujos de comunicaciones. Vamos a poder decidir ahí cómo queremos que se comuniquen nuestros dispositivos, con qué aplicaciones, etcétera, ¿no? Y el tercer pilar es todo lo que tiene que ver con la parte de servicios. Y ahí Aruba Central tiene un rol fundamental. Y cuando hablamos de servicios, pues estamos pensando en servicios que proporcionamos para lo que es digamos, el ámbito del departamento de IT, como puede ser todo lo que tiene que ver con la operación, orquestación, provisioning, monitorización, visibilidad de la infraestructura, pero también y cada vez más con lo que son servicios para la parte de negocio, es decir, servicios como pueden ser localización, como puede ser gestión o seguimiento de activos o marketing digital, ¿no? Y todo esto, fundamentalmente en todo esto, nos apoyamos de manera muy, muy grande en todo lo que tiene que ver con tecnologías de inteligencia artificial y aprendizaje automático que nos permiten automatizar enormemente y simplificar las operaciones que hacemos en el extremo de la red. Y este es un poquito, digamos, lo que es en sí el core de Aruba ISP.
Muy bien, Pedro. Oye, mira, hay una pregunta de la audiencia que creo que podría encajar perfectamente ahora que estamos hablando de estrategia y te voy a preguntar directamente. Dice, en la slide que se ha presentado donde se presenta la estrategia de Edge to Cloud de HPE, ¿se especifica algún tipo de modelo de as a Service? Y preguntan, ¿cuál es la estrategia de Aruba respecto al as a Service?
Vale, pues realmente la estrategia de Aruba as a Service viene muy de la mano de Aruba ISP. Para ponerlo un poquito en contexto, pues podemos hablar de diferentes modelos as a Service. Habría dos que son más tradicionales. El primero, que seguramente todos conocéis, que es el que tiene que ver con propuestas basadas en servicios de financiación, con propuestas de leasing operativo para coger una infraestructura, traducirla en cuotas de renting y facilitar todo lo que tiene que ver con los pagos. Esto ya existía hace mucho tiempo y, por así decirlo, no es propio, en nuestro caso no viene asociado a Aruba ISP. Una segunda propuesta de servicios tiene que ver también con lo que serían los servicios gestionados, ¿no? Que tradicionalmente es una propuesta que tenían los service providers en la que pues, estaban operando las infraestructuras de red de los clientes, ¿no? Igualmente que en el caso anterior esto ya existía hace años y tampoco realmente es novedoso, no viene de la mano de Aruba ISP. Y lo que sí hemos traído de la mano de Aruba ISP son dos propuestas bastante novedosas. Una es lo que tiene que ver con software como servicio, el software as a service. Este modelo existe ampliamente en todo lo que es el ámbito de las aplicaciones, pero ahora de la mano de Aruba ISP y de la mano sobre todo de Aruba Central lo estamos trayendo al networking, ¿no? Y aquí la idea es que podamos consumir gran parte de esas funcionalidades que estamos ofreciendo en esa capa que hablábamos de servicios, funcionalidades al departamento de IT o a los departamentos de negocio, que las podamos consumir como una licencia pues que se alquila y se utiliza durante una serie de años, ¿no? Esto sería el modelo de software as a service. Típicamente en este tipo de entornos combinamos, por ejemplo, infraestructura que un cliente está comprando en modo tradicional, como pueden ser switches o APs, y eso lo combinamos con estas funcionalidades en formato software as a service que un cliente está de alguna forma alquilando o pagando digamos, mes a mes, ¿no? Y luego ya el último paso, que sería lo más avanzado, es la propuesta de Network as a Service. Network as a Service es una propuesta mucho más ambiciosa que combina no solo lo que es software as a service, sino también va un paso más allá y a través de modelos financieros integramos también todo lo que es el poder ofrecer esa infraestructura, es decir, los propios APs, los switches, los gateways, también como parte del servicio, de tal forma que un cliente no tenga que hacer ningún tipo de inversión para poder utilizar y disfrutar una red. Y aquí, para construir esta propuesta de Network as a Service, pues claramente es una apuesta que hacemos a través de nuestro ecosistema de partners de canal, y para ello pues lo pueden construir con componentes que pueden, por así decirlo, cogerlos de la parte de Aruba a través de nuestro portfolio de GreenLake, pero también a través de un programa muy interesante que hemos lanzado hace poco que se llama Managed Service Providers. Estamos seleccionando una serie de partners para que puedan ofrecer en base a sus propias capacidades esta digamos, oferta avanzada de servicios de Network as a Service, ¿no? Para poder llegar a cualquier cliente y cubrir ese tipo de necesidades.
Muy bien, Pedro. Tobias, we already have 2 more questions from the audience about your presentation. Do you mind if I ask you these questions right now?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, so here the first question. One customer is saying, we are planning a refresh of our wireless infrastructure in the next 4-6 months. You have clearly explained the benefits of Wi-Fi 6E. Should we go directly to this new technology?
Yeah, so that depends a little bit. But so first of all, we got the lower 500 megahertz, right? So in the US, they have the full 1200 megahertz band, which is already great. And as Aruba, we keep on doing the work to get the full spectrum also in the EU. Regarding the country, the EU, I think there is now the regulation is like by December 1st, all the EU countries must have accepted that first 500 megahertz, so which is great. We already have an access point that is ready. There is already a few clients, so if you have a specific need for the particular access point, we can deliver it for you with the 635, and we will come with the other access point, you know, quickly after it. So they give you full change. So that way, if you have the need and you have the clients, or you want to have a future-ready infrastructure, you can definitely start deploying Wi-Fi 6E. If you see that you still need to support a lot of legacy clients, or you don't see any requirements for 6E, then of course we also keep the Wi-Fi 6 platform for some time.
Okay. And we have a second question from the audience, and it's another customer that is saying, we are a company that has hundreds of remote offices across Europe, several main buildings and 2 data centers. We are evaluating different SD-WAN solutions. In your case, so in Aruba case, you have 2 different SD-WAN solutions, the SD branch and Silver Peak. Which solution should we evaluate?
That's a good question. So you saw my drawing of, I think if you take a true WAN approach, right? Or you have environments where you have super, super low links, or just 4G or 5G, or maybe satellite connection. This is where the Edge Connect from Silver Peak really, really shines. That's so much innovation in there to even give you a great performance over low links. If you want to have an integrated security solution with wireless and wired security, and more or less want to just do some load balancing across multiple internet links, or maybe an MPLS and an internet link, this is where the SD branch really, really shines. And in my next section of the presentation, I will dive a little bit into where the world comes a little bit more together. But I think that's where what the decision is. If you take a true WAN approach with full automation on that WAN side, and have a lot of low links where you need good performance on, Edge Connect, Silver Peak really shines. If you want to have an integrated security solution for wired and wireless, or maybe even also have sites with just IAPs, you can you can with SD branch, you can go for the integrated SD branch solutions. And maybe I even saw organizations that wanted to have both the security solution with our gateways and have a separate SD-WAN, full SD-WAN solution with WAN acceleration. We even saw these organizations also in EMEA.
Mm-hmm. And actually, just a reminder, we have a session just specific for the SD-WAN strategy from Aruba. So next Tuesday, there will be a specific session about the SD-WAN solutions, and you will have more information about it. And so far, no more questions. So I think that we can move forward with your presentation, Tobias.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's start sharing again. This one. Okay, so let's move on. And we now finished the connectivity layer. And thank you for the nice summary in Spain for me. So let's move on to the zero trust, to the protection layer. One of the things that we have been doing, I think everybody knew that we have ClearPass device inside. And that needed a collector, which give you, where we send all the traffic to and gives you a lot of insight in additional visibility. But we also saw that not every site can start implementing a collector, because you need to look at all the traffic, and that can be pretty cumbersome and need some skill. So what we did is we looked at our switches, our gateways, and our access point, and how can we retain smart telemetry information to go to the next version of visibility, more or less. So with ClearPass, we already give you a lot of visibility on what kind of devices are on the network with either DHCP or looking at the web agent or doing mmap scans. But we see that we need to take this to the next step. A lot of devices, and in particular, a lot of the IoT devices, are using the same hardware internals or some of the same techniques. So we need to look and get new techniques with machine learning and artificial intelligence by looking at data in order to recognize and give you the visibility what kind of devices are running on your infrastructure. So that's why we integrated ClearPass Device Insight directly within the Aruba Central Platform Data Lake. And this is now where we can start using the telemetry data from the access point, the telemetry data from the gateways and the switches, and make sure that we give you full visibility on what kind of devices are in there. But the other thing we're going to do is, I know a lot of people, we just discussed, but the question with Savi was asking me about SD Branch and Edge Connect. And we already saw with the Silver Peak that we can support your WAN and your SASE security transformation. So the other thing we're going to do, the first step from an integration perspective, and make sure we can truly deliver from an end-to-end identity perspective. We already do a lot of identity and a lot of roles on the edge of the network infrastructure and on the gateway levels. But now we're going to integrate ClearPass also with the Edge Connect from Silver Peak. So if you then have a Silver Peak environment, or you're going for a Silver Peak environment, you can take that identity and that policy across the WAN also. So then you can start using that to bring that context of the identity across the WAN, but also use it for quality of service, or use it for the security rules that is embedded within the ClearPass, and make sure that you have can improve the management and improve the experience of a true Aruba environment. The other thing we do is we're going to do data sharing to make sure that we can make AI ops a bit smarter in our infrastructure. But let me move on to the next slide, and let's talk about this AI ops section. So now we had unified infrastructure, we had the security layer, and now on top of that, we're going to go to the analyze and act, what we called in the ESP architecture, the AI ops layer. And the first thing we did is making sure, besides the visibility that we are delivering you now, as you saw in the security section in the Zero Trust framework, we also give you more visibility for the operator. We now give you full visibility also in who the VIA clients are and which are the VIA clients connected. The remote APs, if you are connecting remote APs, for example, what we saw during this pandemic. The remote AP solution from Aruba became super popular during the pandemic. And the reason why is that it is not, I think a lot of organizations saw that if you want to support the hybrid workplace, how are you going to make sure you secure it, you make it visible, and you are able to provide some level of support to the home users? Because you can't trust always the Wi-Fi of, for example, the CPE of the provider. So that's where the remote AP give you cable solution. You can broad that AP to any location. We could deliver you role-based security. People could connect the same way as this idea as they normally do. And we could even bring in some quality of service and visibility. But we also could deliver at least some remote support on that particular access point. So, of course, as the branch visibility, and the first step we've been doing in providing you some visibility to Silver Peak Edge Connect devices with some data sharing and to make the AI ops smarter. And you will see more and more as we now bring the identity across the WAN, we also bring the operator experience in there. And we will do more and more integrations over time, and we will make sure we keep you updated over time on all the integrations that we are doing. But where are we truly focusing on from an Aruba perspective? Is on the power of AI. There is 3 elements that we believe that will give you the best experience and the best way forward. The first one is AI search. And with AI search, we embedded natural language processing within Aruba Central. And natural language processing, I mean that you can just ask the system, which are my worst performed clients, for example, or which sites to have issue at the moment. And then it will give you an overview of what sites there are or what you're asking. And that system is also learning the way you are asking the system. So it becomes smarter and smarter over time. It can serve you even better. That's the first thing. The second thing is AI insights. And with AI insights, we are focusing on troubleshooting and optimized operator experience and driving better efficiency. So just to give you an example, every client that connects to the Wi-Fi network, we know if that client is capable of 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, and now also even 6 gigahertz. So if we see a lot of capable 5 gigahertz capable clients connecting to 2.4 gigahertz, we can verify that with the configurations that we see within Aruba Central. And then we can say, if you change parameter X, Y, Z, these clients will move from 2.4 to 5 gigahertz, which gives them a better experience. And there is tons of recipes, and we keep on driving these additional revenues to make troubleshooting better, but to also optimize your infrastructure. And then later on, we will make that closed loop system for you. And then the last thing that we are focusing on is AI Assist. And with AI Assist, we have seen that logging a support call with collecting all the logs, we're doing also some troubleshooting, at a minimum, thus adding that call takes up to an hour. And we said, okay, maybe we know what kind of logs we want to collect. We have the telemetry data to see if something is going wrong. So that's why we said, let's do something about that. And that's what I call AI Assist. And with AI Assist, we have multiple recipes. Now, we don't do everything yet, right? We're just starting with a few. And that recipes is we are collecting log data based on certain errors that we see. And if we see that, we make sure we log a tech case and we immediately send the right logging. So this way, the tech case is logged for you, the logs are collected for you, and even support can report back to you. So you do everything about your case handling within Aruba Central. You can even start chatting with the support agency. And there is now X amount of recipes that we have, and over time, when we learn better and we can increase this and even optimize that AI Assist for you. So now let's have a look, right? That was the whole ASP architecture, up from unified infrastructure, zero trust security, up to the next layer, which we call the AI Ops layer. Now, as you saw, that we also have the technology partners in there. And the technologies are partners and key in to drive different business outcome or to do something very specific. And what I have a couple of examples of business technology partners. And the first one I want to show you is Microsoft Azure. At the Microsoft Ignite event this year, again, it was virtual, we have been announcing a couple of things with Microsoft Azure. As you maybe know, Microsoft Azure has an IoT hub, and in that IoT hub, there's a lot of functionality to drive IoT data, to give dashboarding, to create applications. But of course, we also need to make sure that we can connect some of these IoT devices. Microsoft also has made a certain framework around IoT devices, and we have been implementing, as you know, in WPA3, there's something called Device Provision Protocol. So we also have been implementing Device Provision Protocol to onboard these devices very easily to an Aruba infrastructure. Not just easily, also securely. So what will happen? We can onboard the device easily, but we also set up a tunnel back to Microsoft Azure to the IoT hub. So this way, the device is onboard easily. Immediately, it can start using the converged infrastructure again, and then it will tunnel back to the IoT hub, where they can do all kinds of application services within Microsoft Azure. And that's, I think, gives you a true end-to-end IoT enablement, which will simplify IT, but also simplify the OT operations. The other thing we have been announcing, Zebra is a very strategic partner for us. And with Zebra, we do a couple of things like a single support desk, like the other one was the single support desk. The other one is the making sure that we can test all their devices, have their devices always secure, that we can do automatic quality of service for their Workforce Connect. Now the other thing we're going to bring it to the next level with Zebra is, and we already have this in some retail, it's a supermarket, where they have a personal shopper, and the personal shopper is used for twofold. One, by the clients. If you come in, you can shop your devices, and then in the end, you can make the payment without going to a cashier. Or there is also another reason, is that you have pickers in these shops where you place an order online. The pickers are using the personal devices to scan the devices, and they can either bring your order to your location, or you can pick up your order and you don't need to go into the shop yourself. What we saw there is that it is very important to know in where there is potential issues in the retail shop in order to drive the shopper experience, or in order to make sure that the pickers can pick up these orders as fast as possible without any delay, without any bad experience. So what we did, as Aruba, we have UXI, the user experience insight, which is a sensor that you can physically place and that can simulate a client. And then you can see, okay, how is the client perceiving the networking infrastructure? How are his team calls running? How is his Salesforce login? How is his Microsoft Office Dropbox or the Dropbox connection going? Exactly. You get the point, and it keeps on testing. So you build up a lot of statistics in a lot of different environments. Now we have bringing part of that solution, the UXI agent, on top of the Android devices of, and we started with the personal shopper on the Zebra device. That way, now we can monitor that personal shopper device and make that visible in our UXI dashboard. So this way, we have the UXI agent integrated into the Zebra devices. We can automatically detect and troubleshoot issues remotely. So when you have a centralized IT, you can troubleshoot the issues remotely. But we also can start adding location context in this specific. So we know where, for example, certain errors constantly arise, roaming errors, other application delay errors, etc. And this is a lot of visibility. It is not released yet. We are going to plan to release this at the end of 2021. But if you are using one of these Zebra devices and you are interested in this solution and you think it can bring a lot of value for you, then get back to the local Aruba team and we can do early access trials already happening. And you can start working with us to build that particular data. And I am 20 years in this company. And out of the 20 years, I think I'm 18 or 17 years in networking. And when I started at that time, it was even called ProCurve. We were number 11 on the market, as called to at that time, the wired Magic Quadrant. Now that Magic Quadrant is combined with wireless and wireless infrastructure. And we have been market leaders for 15 years and running. And we have seen now the combination with Aruba and HPE is super powerful. Now with the combination also with Silver Peak, we are seen as the most innovative network vendor in the industry, which makes me a bit proud, right? If you come from number 11, somewhere completely down the left, and we are now on the top right. The other thing is in the critical capabilities report. So if you have a Gartner account, you can go to the critical capabilities and say, for example, a remote branch, how important that is for your infrastructure, or AI ops, or WLAN only, or wired only. So you can rate these 6 questions more or less, and then you got like a vendor rating out of it. And for us in 2020, Aruba has been number 1 in all of these 6. So that's a really nice one. And with Silver Peak on the WAN edge, we now have our SD branch solutions, as we saw with the question coming from the audience, and Silver Peak. So we are really looking forward to that combined next WAN edge. But we have now 2 of our solution. One is very innovative, one of in the leaders quadrant, which makes us really proud. And actually, the Airhead community. And I'm quite sure that under this audience, there is tons of Airheads. And I really want to thank you for all your collaboration there, because the Airheads is, I think, part of the power of Aruba, where people can start collaborating, helping each other, supporting each other, just debate on technology and make sure we keep on growing that Airheads technology. And actually, I see that I made a mistake with one of the questions in the CX. So let me tell you that question. I will give you the answer so we can skip that. But how many CX ports have we shipped so far? And actually, that's already 4 million. Actually, it's more than 4 million already right now. So thank you for that one also in adopting the CX portfolio. Now we turn, before we go into the Q&A section, I want to turn it to the last question of Sparkle. Maybe next year, let's hope, we can go back to PortAventura, because I think it looks like a really nice venue, or at least we can go back to a face-to-face event. And I hope, at least in my country, we were very slow with the vaccination. In the 10th of June, so this Thursday, I'm going to get my first vaccination. And then in 15th of July, I'm going to get my second one. So really, really happy to see that we are moving up with the vaccination. Hope we can open up the world again and everybody can stay healthy and safe. So I really hope that I'm able to be there next year and make sure we can do this face-to-face presentation, also have a little bit of fun event afterwards. So let's move to the question and answer. And so Pedro, do you see, is there any question, any audio comments, remarks from the audience?
Yes, yes, thank you, Tobias, for this really great presentation. We have some questions. It seems that people somehow starting to wake up and put in more questions in the question panels. Anyway, I remind everybody that they can still really put questions at any moment. So before going to the question, I'm just going to briefly switch to Spanish, because I think there are some important topics I would like to recap. And I'm going to ask Xavi. Hola, Xavi.
Hola, ¿qué tal, Pedro?
Oye, a mí de toda la charla de Tobias, bueno, hemos cubierto un montón de cosas, pero hay algunas cosas que sí yo creo que son importantes y merece la pena a lo mejor profundizar un poquito más. En la parte de, digamos, de seguridad, esta propuesta de estrategia Zero Trust, microsegmentación, ¿puedes contarnos un poquito más en qué consiste, cómo lo implementa Aruba?
Sí, claro que sí. Mira, como nos ha contado Tobias y tú antes también nos has introducido, en Aruba tenemos la arquitectura ESP, ¿vale? Con 3 pilares principales: Connect, Protect y Analyze. Entonces, dentro de Protect, o la parte de Protect se basa en la idea de Zero Trust. ¿Y qué es Zero Trust? Pues Zero Trust es una idea que Aruba lleva desarrollando desde hace ya varios años, donde lo que queremos hacer es que cualquier dispositivo que se conecte a la red necesite de alguna manera identificarse en la red. Es decir, tenemos que saber quién es quien se quiere conectar, con qué dispositivo se quiere conectar y cuál es la conectividad que le queremos dar, ¿no? Entonces, para ello, desde hace años en Aruba tenemos nuestra solución de ClearPass, que como la gran mayoría de clientes y partners conocerán, lo que nos ayudan es a definir qué contexto de conectividad tiene que tener cada uno de los dispositivos que se conectan, ¿vale? Esto lo podemos hacer a través de varios tipos de autenticación, etc. Pero además, lo que hemos visto en los últimos años es esa explosión de dispositivos IoT, ¿vale? Los dispositivos IoT son dispositivos que nos aportan gran valor, pero a nivel de seguridad tienen un gran hándicap, y es que son dispositivos muy simples y los cuales no están pensados pues, para proporcionar una identidad hacia la red, ¿no? Y por lo tanto tenemos que buscar mecanismos para poder saber qué tipo de dispositivo se está conectando, porque lo que nos encontramos en el mundo IoT es que a nivel hardware y a nivel software los equipos son muy parecidos, pero a nivel de funcionalidad son muy diferentes. Entonces, para poder diferenciar cada uno de estos dispositivos y poderle dar la conectividad adecuada, lo que tenemos en Aruba es la solución de ClearPass Device Insight. ClearPass Device Insight es una herramienta pensada exclusivamente para darnos una visibilidad completa de todos los dispositivos que se están conectando. Lo que vamos a hacer es poder identificar, ¿vale? Poder hacer lo que llamamos un profiling de los dispositivos, no solo basados en diferentes parámetros estáticos, ¿no? Como puede ser una petición de DHCP o una asignatura de una petición de HTML, etcétera, ¿vale? Sino lo que vamos a hacer es identificar los dispositivos según su comportamiento a nivel de red, ¿no? Es decir, vamos a tener visibilidad de hacia dónde se están conectando los dispositivos, qué tipo de tráfico están generando, etcétera. Y lo que vamos a poder hacer es definir de forma dinámica diferentes perfiles dependiendo de cuál es el comportamiento de esos dispositivos. Y por lo tanto, le vamos a poder aplicar diferentes políticas dependiendo de ese comportamiento. Un punto muy importante para ClearPass Device Insight es cómo recogemos toda esa información, ¿no? Porque si lo que queremos es aplicar políticas basadas en comportamiento, pues tenemos que poder poner dispositivos que nos reporten ese comportamiento. Inicialmente, pues teníamos unos colectores, ¿no? Que teníamos que instalar en nuestra red, ¿no? Y esos colectores lo que hacían era procesaban el tráfico y enviaban la información a Device Insight para que aplicara sus técnicas de inteligencia artificial, pues para poder clasificar esos dispositivos. Pero actualmente, ¿vale? Lo que hemos hecho ha sido pues, utilizar como colector cualquier dispositivo Aruba, ¿vale? ¿Y eso qué quiere decir? Pues lo que quiere decir es que cualquier punto de acceso, cualquier gateway, cualquier controller o cualquier switch, ¿vale? De Aruba ahora mismo es capaz de reportar qué conectividad está realizando cada uno de los dispositivos hasta ClearPass Device Insight, ¿vale? Pues para tener toda esa información de una manera más fácil sin tener que desplegar sensores adicionales.
Pues desde luego súper interesante, ¿no? Con la explosión de dispositivos de IoT, pues parece claro que Device Insight debería ser un tipo de solución que prácticamente cualquier cliente va a tener que tener en su, digamos, en su portafolio de soluciones en el ámbito del departamento de IT. Otra cosa, Xavi. Tobias lo ha comentado, ha incidido bastante en todo el tema de Analyze, de AIOps. ¿Nos puedes aterrizar un poquito en español, un poquito cuáles son los puntos más interesantes de esta propuesta, cómo lo hacemos en Aruba?
Sí, claro, pues la parte de Analyze, ¿no? Sería el tercer pilar, ¿no? El último pilar de la arquitectura de ESP, y en lo que se basa es en un término que acuñó Gartner hace unos años, que es AIOps, ¿no? O inteligencia artificial aplicada a las operaciones. Aquí lo que hacemos desde Aruba es hacer que todos nuestros dispositivos reportan datos de telemetría hacia Aruba Central, ¿vale? Y Aruba Central es capaz de recoger un gran volumen de toda esta información de telemetría y computarla a través de algoritmos, de técnicas de Machine Learning, y a partir de estos algoritmos poder detectar posibles problemas que podemos tener en la red, ¿no? Pues problemas que a veces son muy complicados y la cual requieren pues, muchas horas de técnico para poder detectarlos, pues como por ejemplo poder detectar agujeros de cobertura en la Wi-Fi, ¿no? Y aquí lo importante no es solo poderlos detectar, sino que es detectarlos antes de que tengas un problema, ¿no? Porque muchas veces sí que es verdad que somos capaces de detectar problemas, pero los detectamos una vez ya tenemos clientes, ¿no? Usuarios que se están quejando, ¿no? Aquí lo que vamos a tener es Aruba Central, que va a estar constantemente recogiendo toda esa información de telemetría, aplicando estos algoritmos de Machine Learning, y a partir de aquí nos va a ir dando recomendaciones para mejorar todo lo que es nuestra red, ¿vale? Ya sea a nivel de Wi-Fi, a nivel de switching o incluso a nivel de SD-WAN.
Vale, perfecto. Oye, una pregunta más, Xavi, antes de volver con Tobias, que nos lo ha lanzado un asistente, que es nos pregunta sobre la integración de ClearPass Policy Manager con Edge Connect, es decir, con Silver Peak. ¿Se puede hacer algo ahí? ¿Hemos avanzado algo en esa parte?
Sí, como sabéis, pues Aruba adquirió Silver Peak, pues yo creo que se anunció hace ya casi un año. En estos momentos pues se está trabajando en todo lo que es la integración de la solución de Silver Peak, que ahora llamamos solución de Edge Connect, dentro del portfolio de Aruba, y uno de los primeros pasos que creemos que es más importante para realizar es poder incorporar la información que nos da ClearPass. Es decir, ClearPass nos va a dar, o uno de sus objetivos es dar información a nivel de contexto de conectividad, y esa información de contexto lo que queremos es utilizarla pues, para desplegar las políticas, ¿no? Ya sean políticas Wi-Fi, políticas LAN o políticas WAN, ¿no? En este caso, con la solución de Silver Peak o la solución de Edge Connect, en el último Atmosphere, que se realizó hace ya creo que un mes, pues anunció que ya estaba la integración de los Edge Connect con ClearPass. ¿Y eso qué quiere decir? Pues quiere decir que la solución de Edge Connect va a ser capaz de recopilar la información de contexto de ClearPass, el rol que ClearPass le asigna, y va a poder utilizar esa información no solo para mostrar información de contexto, sino también en un futuro para aplicar políticas WAN a cada uno de los dispositivos según ese contexto. ¿Vale? Por lo tanto, la respuesta corta es sí, ¿no? En Edge Connect ya integra la parte de ClearPass pues, para poder aplicar toda esa visibilidad y esas políticas WAN.
Vale, fenomenal. Pues tenemos alguna pregunta más aquí en el chat y se las voy a pasar también a Tobias. Vale, gracias, Xavi.
Gracias, Pedro.
Tobias, are you there still?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Okay. I have some additional questions in the chat. I'm going to read it and I will hand over to you to answer it. Okay. So let me just put it in Spanish. Mi organización todavía no utiliza soluciones en la cloud pública. ¿Y cómo podríamos implementar la propuesta de Aruba ISP en la organización? So here the attendees asking that, you know, in the organization they are not using still any cloud solution. I understand any public cloud solution, maybe because of compliance reasons or whatever, they are not yet prepared to go to the public cloud. Is there any way to implement ESP in my organization?
Yeah, so as when I was explaining the architecture, I had Aruba Central as the dashboard, right? And I would also think I mentioned that I think we have unique because we also have Central on-prem. So that's Aruba Central on-prem, which is now you need either 3, 5, or 7 servers. So because depending a little bit on how much functionality from the ESP chain you want to have, the more servers, more or less the more AIOps functionality you will get. So that can be run on-premise. And in the future, you can maybe even take some things hybrid, right? Where you can start your own cloud journey, consume some services. So that is there. We've also come with a 1U appliance for Central on-prem, but that's more just for management of a smaller environment. The other thing with Silver Peak, Edge Connect, you can also have on-prem. So we deliver you, I think, everything from the cloud or everything from on-premise, or you can dictate your own journey, consuming some service from the cloud and some from on-premise. So I think from that perspective, yeah, I think we really deliver you that solution for on-premise environments still, because we still understand that there is regulatory compliancy or security requirements or something like that where you need to manage it on-prem. Another important note is that Airwave will not go away also very soon, right? I want to make that statement also. If you still see a need to do AOSA, to do Airwave, go for it, right? There are still a lot of solutions. It will not end of life or end of sale very, very soon. So you have Central on-prem. If you want to more move to the AIOps ESP environment that we have been discussing, if you want to stay legacy with Airwave, or if you want to go Edge Connect with SD-WAN, you can also do that on-premise. So I think choice enough from an Aruba perspective, I think.
Okay. Bueno, pues yo creo que está claro, ¿no? Yo creo que hay pocas compañías, más bien ninguna, que tenga capacidad de ofrecer esta flexibilidad a la hora de posicionar estas soluciones en el portfolio, con la propuesta de Central, que como habéis escuchado puede ser en cloud pública, pero también se puede desplegar en un entorno on-premise que sea gestionado por la propia organización, e incluso, también lo acaba de comentar Tobias, los clientes que tenéis Airwave, bueno, pues que sepáis que Airwave va a seguir ahí y que tampoco en ese sentido Aruba va a obligar a nadie a migrar a estos entornos de cloud, a pesar de las grandes ventajas que tienen, ¿no? Con lo cual, fundamental, el cliente al final es el que tiene el poder de decidir cuándo se mueve y cómo lo hace, ¿no? Y Aruba simplemente lo que hace es facilitar esa decisión. Okay, so let's go. We have another question. Esta es buena, esta es muy, yo creo, muy típica, ¿no? Aquí nos preguntan que todos los vendedores hablamos mucho de inteligencia artificial y por qué la solución de Aruba es diferente o en qué se diferencia, ¿no? So this question I think it's pretty common these days. You know, all the vendors, you and your competitors are talking about artificial intelligence. What makes Aruba artificial intelligence different from the competition?
So people have a feeling they're getting AI washed, so to say. But no, I understand the question. I think everybody is talking about artificial intelligence or machine learning or statistics. I think with all three, I think it dictates how much data you get. How much data you get, then the better your algorithms will be, the better the learning will be. So that's something where we're really focusing on the quality of the data that we're going to get with the telemetry data, regardless if it is for security, optimization, or troubleshooting. We need quality data. And of course, as Aruba, we have a lot of access points out there, right? Where we can start collecting these data, which are connecting to Central. I think that's a unique thing where we have a lot of data and the data is of the right quality. I think the other thing, for me personally, it doesn't matter if it is statistics. It doesn't matter if it's machine learning. For me, it matters what is the outcome that we can deliver. So what is the value of an automatic support ticketing system, or the value of giving somebody a recommendation to change certain parameters to increase the infrastructure? So that's what you see with all these AI ops. What we are doing is we also say, okay, this is the performance increase the clients will get, or this is the better experience they will get. And I think that's where we don't just market it or push it out there. I think we are really focusing on the outcome, what it means for the operator, or what it means from the business unit inside, or what it means from less hours in making a support tickets. And I think that's what makes us unique. The quality and the amount of data indicate the heavily focus on the outcome. And for me, if it is statistics or machine learning or artificial intelligence, I don't care as long as it brings value for our partners and for our end users.
No, yo creo que está muy claro, ¿no? La calidad de los datos que tenemos, porque evidentemente tenemos una gran base instalada que nos permite recoger información, la variedad de esos datos, y yo creo que fundamental el último punto que ha comentado, que esa inteligencia artificial resuelve problemas reales y está ayudando a los clientes, es decir, les está optimizando la resolución de problemas, detectándolos de forma temprana. Realmente es una inteligencia artificial para la vida diaria, ¿no? Que te ayuda en el día a día, que al final es lo que los clientes necesitan. And I think we have here the last question. Habéis hablado del Azure IoT Hub, las integraciones con Zebra. ¿Tenéis otro tipo de integraciones de este tipo en la plataforma Aruba ISP? So, Tobias, we have another question. One attendee is asking, we have talked about, this Azure IoT Hub integration,
Yep.
Zebra integration. Do we have any other similar integration with other third-party vendors?
Oh, we have a lot. Actually, we even, maybe for those that didn't saw it, we even have announced a couple of white papers, for example, about the hybrid smart building, about healthcare. So where all these partners are well described, which are in. But let me see. I have one here actually. I'm not sure if you can see it. This is Anocean, and this is I'm super excited about. Anocean is an alliance for energy harvesting sensors. And let me take one out. This is just a simple light sensor, right? Like a clicker, like you have in your house. But you can't even connect the cable. So no this, cable. When you press it, maybe it clicks. I'm not sure if you hear it.
Yeah.
It clicks very hard. So, but at that moment in time, it is generating its own energy to send a signal. And that we have a USB stick that you can place in our access point, and then you can control lights. And here is the USB stick for it. But we also have, for example, these sensors, which are, let me put it in front of me, then you can see it, which are measuring light. It can do some moisture. There's multi-sensors. And Anocean is an alliance which a lot of other companies are involved in. But think about it, not using, in particular with the hybrid play, not using any cables anymore. Then you can truly deal flexible with your organization. You have very green because you energy harvesting, but if you want to change a room, you just change the room and you don't need to think about the electronic cables or anything else. And you use your Wi-Fi or your backbone infrastructure as traveling. I think that's one that really sticks out for me to go for a hybrid workplace or a smart building. But there is others focusing on asset tracking with Blyet, for example, where they say €1 per asset device that you do, you can track. So it's tons of examples that we have, which makes the Aruba solution and our partners actually better in solving business outcome problems.